as you've played against Iga so many times, what makes her A, so great, and B, so great on clay?
She plays more like a guy, to be honest. Just like heavier topspin. She doesn't necessarily hit as flat. And I think that again, her movement and her athleticism is really good. And then her ability to kind of throw up that heavy topspin ball, it's heavy and it comes off your racket. It's tough to kind of control it. You get out of position, and then she's just really good as well as taking it early and stepping in. She's not afraid to step in. We know that, especially when she's firing. She's can hit a lot of winners too. So she's just kind of a really good clay courter.
Welcome everybody to the French Connection, brought to you by NBC Sports and Racket. We'll be covering tennis from the French Open through to the Paris Olympics and everything in between. I'm Rennae Stubbs, and he over there is Sam Querrey. All right, Sam, it is the day. It is the day that every tennis player stresses about and waits for. The draw is out at the French Open. Now, you and I, being pundits now and not playing in the draw, we get to cruise over it with smiles and with chuckles and everything. So how much do you pay attention to the draw and the seedings and everything? And what about this draw that surprises you the most in the men's? Let's start with that.
Well, it's huge. I mean, I remember when I was playing, if you were playing a 250, a 500, when the draw came out, the draw came out. At a slam, it was different. You knew that the draw came out Thursday at 4 o'clock or maybe Friday at 3 o'clock. So you almost were constantly looking at your phone. Guys, draws in 30 minutes, draws in an hour. You'd be at practicing on the changeover, and it would be like, draws out. We got to time out for 20 minutes. Let's look through the draw. I know everyone's different, but that's what I was like. And you would look through and see where you were, who you played first round, who you possibly might play second round.
Ooh.
You look and see where maybe at Wimbledon for me, at the French Open, I would mostly look at the first round. And you look and see where all your friends were, all the other Americans. So the draws at the French Open and the other slams were a much bigger deal. And of course, this year we've got Rafa playing Zverev. We've got Murray playing Wawrinka. Yourself though, were you on my side? Were you like a draw breakdown and so excited and look at everything, or you just, I don't care who I'm playing, I'm going to walk on the court?
I was a player that did not want to see any parts of the draw at a Grand Slam. I was completely the opposite. At a regular tournament, I liked looking at the draw. I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't care. I was just like, okay, who do we play in the first round? And maybe I looked, but I was the type of person, and I really believe in this. And some people don't really care. To our guest on today, Jessica Pegula, I've actually asked her, she's like, oh no, I look at the whole draw. Whereas Serena, if you told her who she was playing too early in a tournament, she would never talk to you again. Like, I made that mistake one time. I told her who she was playing at Wimbledon. I was like, oh, you play so-and-so. And it was like maybe Thursday before the tournament when the draw came out. She's like, she won the match. And then she told me, and by the way, don't ever tell me who I'm playing first round too early because she doesn't like to stress about it. I was the same. I don't want to know too much. I want to know my first round. I want to then concentrate on that. I don't want to think about who's in the draw, because there are so many things that can happen that you're not in control of. And if you're worrying about who you're going to play in the third round, maybe they're going to lose. So I don't know. I just didn't want to know anything other than what I was playing in the first round. But that one, can we just talk about Rafa and Zverev first round? That is bonkers crazy first round.
It is crazy for everyone. Obviously, Rafa doesn't want to see that draw. And I don't think Zverev wants to see that draw. Zverev's coming off a Rome title. Rafa's coming off 14 French Open titles. He's not playing his best right now. Hopefully, he's got 3-4 more days to kind of fine tune his game and see what level he can get to. But obviously, Zverev's going to be a heavy favorite in that. Rafa will have 99.9% of the crowd support. And hopefully we get a good competitive match from Rafa. I don't know if deep down he believes he can win it. But I think he would love to go out there, play really well, and then anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a sad first round, really, in so many ways, because you want to see him win a couple of matches at least. But I think it's 99.99%, and maybe the two people in the crowd is Zverev's dad and his brother cheering for him, but that'll be about it.
They also, a little part of them might want Rafa to win too.
Maybe, but probably not. So, Sam, what about the fact that Novak, who clearly is, a lot of people think Alcaraz is the favorite. His draw isn't too bad. Alcaraz down the bottom half of the draw. It looks like he will play Sinner if they get through to the semifinals and play one another, which we know is arguably the best matchup in tennis these days. But Novak, what about him going to, as we look at the draw? I mean, there it is. Alcaraz, Djokovic, the top and bottom sections of the draw. Djokovic will have to play Alcaraz. If Alcaraz beats Sinner. I mean, there's so many great players, but I want your thoughts on the fact that Novak has gone and played a 250 in Geneva before the French Open. I mean, when was the last time he did that to prepare for the French? And what does that signal to you?
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever done that before the French, but this is one of those weird years. He's never had a year like this coming into the French where he hasn't won a tournament. He's had a ton of early round exits. But I've been saying this for a while. As long as Novak Djokovic is in the draw, I'm picking him to win the tournament. He's just been too dominant over the last 6, 7, 8 years. The French Open is a different test than the previous, 5, 6 tournaments he's played, which has been 2 out of 3 set events. This is 3 out of 5. This is a true test. He's been to the finals 7 times. So with Novak in the draw, I'm picking him to win it right now.
But look at that first round that he has to play. Herbert, who we know is a very, very good French player. He can, play unbelievable sometimes. And, with the French crowd, Sam, there's nothing worse in tennis than playing a French player in Paris. I mean, it's like all of a sudden you realize, oh, they hate me here. So, yeah. I mean, just on that alone and playing a tournament leading into the French Open, that proves that he is not confident at all. And 37 years of age on Wednesday, it's not going to get any easier for him. I mean, his draw is quite strong.
No, you're right. He's, like you said, he's 37. It's just going to get harder and harder. But until someone can prove to me that they can beat Novak consistently at a slam, especially the French Open, over a 5-set match on clay, Novak is still the guy to beat, in my opinion. Having said that, Alcaraz, Sinner, those guys are arguably maybe playing a little better than him at the moment, but I think Novak is still at the top of the mountain.
And one first round that stood out to me, obviously, other than Rafa and Zverev, was Andy Murray plays against Stan Wawrinka. Of course, Stan Wawrinka, truly one of the great players. It's interesting that Andy and Stan are probably the 2 best players outside of the top 3, greats in, certainly Novak, Roger, and Rafa. So them playing against each other in the first round arguably could be their last French Open as well, the 2 of them. Just quick thoughts on the 2 of those 2 playing each other in the first round.
Right. It could go back 8 years. That's a semifinal. But yeah, it could be their last one. They've both been playing challengers this year. They still love the game. You see them. Murray was in Bordeaux last week. You see Stan playing challengers. There's obviously there's some fire there still that they want to kind of get back into the mix with the guys in the top 20, top 30, but they're struggling at the moment. But that's going to be one of those matches. Maybe the quality isn't where it is or isn't where it was 6, 7, 8 years ago, but it's a huge matchup. It's 2 big names. They're going to be on a big court. It's going to be packed with fans. And I'm personally excited to watch it. I don't know about you. I know they're not in their prime, but it's still a fun matchup.
I know Andy gets the worst draws. He really does get bad draws at the slams, no matter what. And clearly not his favorite surface clay, but he played a lot on it as a kid. That's really where he sort of crafted his tennis, was in Spain on the dirt, which is why he's kind of a little bit defensive, really, as a player. But quickly on the women's as well, Iga Swiatek, we know she's the favorite going to the French. We're going to break all of this down a lot more with Jessica Pegula, who is our guest today. We can't wait to hear from Jess. She is a little bit injured and pulled out of the French Open today, so we get to hear all about her thoughts going into particularly the women's. But your thoughts on that? Danielle Collins is up her section, like up in her half of the draw, possibly in her 4th round. She'll play Iga Swiatek, Danielle. So just your thoughts on the women's. There are some interesting first rounds. Svitolina playing against Pliskova first round. Just give me your quick thoughts on the women. Yeah.
Iga's, when we had Serena in her prime, it was Serena and everyone else. That's what we've got right now with Iga, especially on the clay. She is the clay court queen, winning Madrid, winning Rome. It's her tournament right now. I think all the women in the event feel that. Okay, is there going to be an upset? But Iga's been so dominant. I don't see anyone beating her as long as she plays at a relatively high level. But yeah, that's kind of where I see it going. What are your thoughts on the women's side?
Yeah, when I look at this draw, I mean, Iga arguably has a tougher draw. I think a tougher draw, not in the first round. Andreeva is a very good young player, so that is not going to be an easy first up match for Sabalenka, whereas, Iga gets to play against the qualifier. Sometimes those qualifiers can be unbelievably good as well. I mean, Sophia Kenin took out Gauff last year at Wimbledon, for example, after getting through qualifying, and such a classy player. So it depends on who the qualifier is, but I'd say Iga feels pretty good about that first round. But to get through Bronzetti, Kudermetova, Alexandrova, and clearly we know this is probably not going to be the players that she plays because we know there's always upsets. But Gauff in the semifinals, and then, of course, Sabalenka, that's sort of been what we've been watching this year. Her playing Gauff in the quarters or semis, her playing Sabalenka in the final. And then for Sabalenka, I think she starts off pretty tough there. Bolter had a decent year. I think it's Madiki, Sakari, Rybakina. That's not easy 3 matches in a row because they all can play very well on clay. But once the train gets on the tracks with these two, it's kind of hard to stop them. So I see them being in the final against one another. But certainly we never know. Rybakina, can she stay healthy? Not injured, not throwing up somewhere? I mean, she keeps getting sick. I think she's just got to, I don't know, bring a chef to cook for her or something. I don't know what's going on. But certainly the women's draw is uber exciting. So who knows? But it's Iga against the field for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so we are really excited, obviously, to bring all of this to you. Sam and I are going to be here throughout it, through the French Open, leading right through to the Paris Olympics. We can't wait. We've got the one and only Jessica Pegula, as we said, who pulled out of the French today to talk about all the men's and women's draw. Roland Garros coverage begins Sunday, May 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Peacock. The full TV schedule is on NBCSports.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. The one and only number 5 currently on the WTA ranking, Jessica Pegula. Jess, welcome to the show. Welcome to the French Connection with myself and, of course, Sam Querrey. Jess, first of all, what's been going on? Can you give us an update on sort of what your life has been like over the last couple of months?
Yeah. Well, I was, playing a lot of matches up until Charleston, played Billie Jean King Cup, and then unfortunately kind of sustained a little bit of an injury, basically like the week before I was leaving for Madrid. So unfortunately had to pull out of basically the whole rest of the clay court season. So upset I'm missing Roland Garros, but trying to play it smart and be ready to go for full grass, hard Olympics, the rest of the year.
Awesome. Do you have a tournament you've kind of highlighted as your first tournament back or trying to get back to?
I think I'm going to play Schwarzenbosch in Holland. Actually, I haven't played that. It was actually the first grass court tournament I ever played. And I don't know if I've been back since. So I'm excited, though, because I've actually never played like a full grass court season. It just I'm always a long clay court season, then I come back and then I go back over. So it'll be, I think, actually good because, I think my game's more suited for the grass anyways.
Yeah, Jess, I mean, how much did that go into it, not playing the French, your decision to really focus on Wimbledon? We all know, obviously, how close you came, to being into that Wimbledon final. But I want to know what you learned from that, but also, was that one of the reasons why you decided, look, I could probably play the French, but I'm not really prepared for it? How much of a decision was that for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think looking at it the perspective of my grass court game has been getting better. I think I have a good game to do well there. And then not wanting to jeopardize that, especially with the kind of slammed year with Olympics. It's always, everything's really back to back. And then obviously I always love the hard court swing. So I think kind of prioritizing that and not rushing into the French, although it's a slam and I've done well there before and I would trust me, love to play. It was just a little bit too much too soon. I think if I had a few extra days, I maybe would have been able to go, but like you said, having good results last year, I think I'm prioritizing kind of that part of the season.
Now, we mentioned it earlier, you're ranked number 5. You've been top 10 for basically 2 years in singles, which is impressive. Your double results are also impressive.
Thank you.
You've won a ton of Masters Series. When you get back into things in Hertogenbosch, I wanted to compliment you on how you pronounce that. No one knows how to pronounce that. It's the lowercase s and then a capital H, Hertogenbosch. Are you planning to play singles and doubles, get right back into it full swing and kind of go both events moving forward?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely would love, just as the first week on grass, getting extra grass court practice is always, I think, a good idea. So I would love to get right back into kind of competing match situations. I think I'll be fine. So I'll definitely do that. I don't know about the rest of the tournaments, like the week before, if I play Eastbourne and leading up into Wimbledon, will I play both events? Probably not. I'm not sure yet. But I would say for the first 2 weeks, definitely want to get as much grass court prep as possible.
Just on that, Jess, Sam's already mentioned how long you've been inside of the top 10. I mean, that's an incredible result for you. 100 consecutive weeks in the WTA top 10. I don't think people realize how hard that is to do on a consistent basis, because you have to stay injury-free. You have to be consistent every week. So what does that mean to you? Looking back like 4 or 5 years ago on, where you were ranked and what you were doing, what does it mean to you to have that longevity of success?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was always hurt all the time. And then finally, I hadn't been hurt till now, really, for the last like a long time, like 4 years or something. So I've been able to really play. And I've always said, when people ask me, like, what have you done? I'm like, well, I've been really healthy. And I feel like I've been able to play every week and push myself to get better and learn and get more experience. And now that I've been hurt the last like month, I'm like, gosh, this sucks. I haven't had to deal with this for a long time. But at the same time, I feel like every injury, I've always come back better. So I feel like it's just giving me extra kind of like a fire to kind of get back out there and get back to competing. It's nice for like a week when you're resting and everything. And then, you're watching everyone play, everyone's competing, you turn on TV and you see it. And I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I was there. Like, you're just itching to get back out there. But I mean, health is, I would say the number one priority, because you can't do well or you have no chance if you're not healthy. So that is definitely something I've prided myself on. And, but you can't stay perfect forever. I feel like every athlete goes through some sort of injury or something that sets them back. So I'm just taking it as a little break and a chance to get back out there.
Well, we had a little injury there because I think we lost Sam. I think I don't know if his computer fell off the table or what was going on.
I don't know what I just was pushed off the StreamYard, but I'm back and ready to go here. We're adjusting. Luckily, I'm very quick with my technology, and I was right back on. Jess, like myself, I have an Achilles injury. You've been injured. Obviously, that gives you a little extra time. Have you seen the Challengers movie yet?
Is he breaking up or is it just me?
No, I think he wanted to ask you, and I think he did ask you. Maybe you're too embarrassed to answer this question, but have you seen Challengers yet?
Oh, really? That was the question? No, I actually haven't. I need to. It's kind of bad. I feel like everyone went and saw it, but I haven't seen it yet.
I also haven't seen it, if that makes you feel any better. We're the only two.
I have seen it. I will leave I'm not going to tell you anything, but look, it's very hard for a tennis professional to go and watch a tennis movie and not critique the absolute living heck out of it.
Yeah.
But the storyline is kind of interesting. But anyway, I don't know what I'd give it out of 10. I gave it a 3 out of 10 when I left the movies. But now that I've processed it all,
10, that's awful.
Now that I've processed it, I'd probably give it a 6.5. But not aside from the tennis stuff, that was like a 1. But Jess, I want to know, if the injuries happen to you like that, and we know about your family's connections with the Bills, all of that sort of stuff. Does it give you an opportunity also to think about the family business and what you want to do after tennis career is over? Because, we don't think about what we're going to do after because we think that's failing in what we're doing now. Mm-hmm. But I want to know from your perspective, holistically, was that kind of interesting for you as well to sit back and think about what am I going to do when I'm done?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I feel like that is a common theme where you think about the next thing and it does make you feel like you're failing now, which is totally not true, right? I mean, there's multiple parts to your life. And I think being an athlete in the limelight, you get stuck on, and just, I feel like the perception too of American sports, it's like, well, if you're not winning every single tournament, you're kind of failing, right? Yeah. And I don't know why we're like that. We're so tough on our athletes like that, but it's so not true. I mean, you can have an amazing career and then have another amazing career afterwards and something totally different. So I've always, I think, taken the healthier approach of looking to see what I can do after. It's always helped me tennis wise too, take some pressure off and kind of look towards the future. But yeah, I mean, definitely I would love to be involved in sports. I mean, ever since I was a kid, really, even before that, I always wanted to be involved. I wanted to be like the first female GM of a hockey team, like that when I was like 15. That was like, I would tell my dad that. And I have zero experience like knowing anything about hockey. So like I don't know how I was planning to do that, but that was my goal. So I've always had wanted to be involved in sports, and I mean tennis too, and just every sport, because I feel like it's helped me so much and it teaches you so much from a young age that I don't know how people live their lives without it. I mean, I know there's many that do, but to me it seems impossible. So I'd always love to be involved in that down the
Well,
road.
there is that PWHL now, you know, you can get a little women's team up in Buffalo. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. Have you ever played tennis with any of the Bills players?
I've never seen any of them play tennis. I've told the Bills team that I would love to do like a tennis thing with them. I think that'd be really funny. Of course, not in season. I don't want anyone getting hurt. But because, then that would be really bad. But I think it would be really fun to kind of do a little tennis academy. I don't know, some sort of video with them and see who's the best. Because I've seen some, I think in Miami, some of the Dolphins players played with like Emma and Ben Shelton. So I would love to see some of the Bills players get out there and show me what they got.
All right, well, call me up. I'll come and critique them as well.
All right, with the French Open starting in 4 days, and you're injured, obviously, although feeling better, are you going to sit home, watch the French Open? Will you have kind of FOMO, not watch it? What's your plan for the 2 weeks of the French Open while you're not playing?
I don't know. I've just started practice, like back to like real practicing again. I don't know. I feel like it'll be if I remember and I turn it on, and then like I might like get into it. But I feel like if I just kind of like decide not to get involved, then I really won't watch much for the next 2 weeks. But I feel like I always watch the slams. I'm always, kind of dialed in. And if there's some really good matchups and the time zone permits, then I definitely would want to watch some.
Jess, what you're saying is that you're not going to get up at 4 a.m. to start watching it. Okay, it's got to be in your timeline.
I don't even know what the time zone change is because I'm never here. Is it 4 a.m.?
6 hours, Jess. Come on, you know you're better than this. All right,
so what's on the West Coast with me? It's 9 hours.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like.
Listen, I hate to burst both your bubbles, but try growing up in Australia where you got to get up at 1 a.m. to watch any kind of decent tennis. It's not so great. But Jess, what's your favorite memory on the court and off the court in Paris?
In Paris, I mean, I would definitely say, making the quarterfinals there. I think that was something that was really big. I remember the match before. I'm sorry, I think it was 2 matches before, so maybe, I don't know, second, third round. But I beat like kind of a clay quarter, and it was a really tough match. And I remember just getting a lot of confidence from that because it was kind of more of a mental battle. And being able to use that to then win the next match and, play Iga in the quarters on Chatrier was really cool. Just because clay wasn't always, I mean, like I like playing on clay. I've had good results, but I'm not really supposed to go super deep there. So that was really, I feel like, yeah, that was really cool. And then making the finals of the doubles with Coco as well. That was a really good year for us. Starting to do really well in singles and then having a big result in doubles too was really fun. And then she played, the finals there. So it was cool to be there for the full 2 weeks. But that year was a good year.
I always had that kind of same confidence. I wasn't a clay quarter. Maybe like you were obviously way better on clay than I was. But if I ever won matches on clay, it gave me like fake confidence, like almost like false hope going forward. You're like, wow, like I'm this tall guy that like plays well on clay, and I wasn't not supposed to win these, but I win them, and it helped me going into the grass court season.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I'm not a clay quarter, but I'm not awful. Like I definitely still can do well. So I mean, I don't mind, especially if it's nice weather and it's a good day in Paris. Like the courts, it plays pretty fast. Like I really actually like the conditions. If it rains all night, and I remember one year I played Sabalenka and it rained all day, and I played on Langland and I was just, the balls were massive and they were like wet, and I lost like I played her first round. I don't think she was even like seeded then. This was like 3-4 years ago. Anyways, I lost. It was awful. I was like, the ball wasn't going anywhere. She was just like teeing off, and I was like, I hate the French. This sucks. Blah blah blah. But then the next year, I actually started to find my footing on clay, and I actually really enjoyed it. So.
Well, there's clay court tennis wrapped up in a great sentence,
Yes.
because when you win, it's great. When you don't, but also I think people at home need to understand conditions, particularly at the French Open, affect the play more than any. A little bit on grass for sure when it's hot, and when it's cold and damp, it doesn't bounce as high. But on clay, it's a really big difference, and I think you illustrate. And you play. It's the one surface that you play through a little bit of rain, so that doesn't make it easy as well. So Jess. All right, while we're talking about the French Open, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the French Open draws that came out today, but wow. Let's start with the men to begin with. I don't know, have you had a chance to peruse through it? Obviously, we know the first round of first rounds is where was Rafael Nadal going to fall? And he fell right into the hands of Zverev. I mean, this is a nightmare draw for Nadal fans playing against Zverev. But your thoughts just on that first round and Rafa in general?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Rafa fan. It's like been sad, kind of the last year because I just want him to be able to finish however he wants and on his terms, like anybody, right? So it's always it was like a bummer seeing him actually play pretty well in Madrid and then not be able to play as well later on and not be super healthy. It's crazy to me how he can still just show up and just like routine guys on clay. And I also think his record at the French doesn't get enough credit as probably the toughest, hardest record ever in sports. Being able to win the French Open that many times, the most physical slam, the most demanding. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. So massive fan. Terrible draw for him, but also not an easy draw for Zverev coming off. He just won Rome?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good,
So
good
I
point.
mean, it's like one of those where it's like, oh, I just won a tournament, but I also play Nadal at the French 3 out of 5. That's not easy. But yeah, that sucks because you want to kind of see Nadal maybe get some matches he can work his way into the tournament with. So yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, we touched on this last week. Rafa's already, he's coming to the French Open. He says he's most likely going to play, but also is kind of leaving people wondering, like, hey, if I'm not 100%, I'm not going to play. Where do you fall in the sense that do you want Rafa to play the French Open no matter what, and do you want this to be his final tournament?
That's such a tough question. I mean, I want to see him play. I don't want to see him pull out, but then I also don't want to see him play and him just be like not himself. He's not able to like at least give himself the best shot to win. I think that would also be kind of sad. But it seems kind of like this last year. I mean, has he actually said it? But it seems like I don't think he'll play after this, right? Like after the French.
I don't think so, but yeah, you're right. He kind of hasn't said anything definitive. He kind of teases everyone every week.
Yeah, every week. So I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I would definitely want to see him healthy and play. It would be kind of a bummer to see him go out there and try, and then obviously playing against a guy who's playing top tennis right now on clay. Like, I don't want it to be like a sad ending, but yeah, I just hope that maybe he can get healthy and at least give himself a good chance.
Yeah, I have to say, when I saw the draw come out, my first thought was, will he play now? Because seeing that draw is just like, this is just impossible for him. He's just not playing well enough. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting dichotomy when you think about Zverev. He was out of the game for that period of time when he sprained his ankle badly against Nadal, in that, which was a very competitive match when Nadal won maybe his 14th. I don't know if it was his 13th or 14th. I've lost count. But he's up in the section. Obviously, he's up there with Novak. What about Novak? What are your thoughts on Novak? He hasn't won a tournament this year, Jess. So just really quick on him.
It's been weird with him, right? Like, it's like, well, I mean, we say this every time, right? It's like, oh, it's the changing of the guard and like blah, blah, blah. But then it never really seems to change because then he starts playing well and he wins everything again. And so it's been just like, yeah, weird with him. But to me, him at a slam, again, we don't really talk about him as a clay courter, but he's won the French several times. And 3 out of 5 at a slam, I feel like he just still has the ability to just be the greatest and switch on this mode that nobody else can kind of challenge him. And maybe a few guys now, like a Sinner, or maybe even a Zverev or whatever. But I mean, I think he's still gonna do well. I don't know if he's gonna win, but I don't know how you can really go against him. I mean, I've seen him before kind of not play that much, and he pops into a slam and he's able to, again, 3 out of 5. Beating him 3 out of 5 is a totally different than 2 out of 3. So I think that helps him, favors him, and then if he's able to get confidence, I mean, he's already confident. He's gonna need like one match, and he's gonna be like, okay, like Novak's back, So
Yeah.
I don't know how you can go against him.
And even watching him this year, not having the results, he seems pretty happy. Even these tournaments that he's losing early, you still seen him sign autographs as he walks off the court. He seems like he's in a good mood week in, week out. So,
yeah, he got
like you just said, I feel like if he wins one match to the French, the confidence will be there and he can make a run.
Yeah, it's like, does he need matches? I mean, I don't really think he needs that. He needs like one match. He needs like, and then he's back. But he does. He got hit in the head with that bottle, and he was like making jokes about it the next day. So I feel like he's still in good spirits, and I think he knows that he can still win the tournament, of course.
Well, looking at the sort of possibilities and the run through the tournament, if you looked at that, which side of the draw do you feel is stronger? And also, just on Novak, he is playing a 250 this week, leading into the French Open, which is crazy, which means that he feels like he needs, as we talked about, matches. But if you looked at that section of the draw, like Alcaraz is a little bit of an unknown with the injuries. Sinner, of course, probably the best player this year, without question, in my opinion, best player on the men's tour, but also he comes into the French. So if you had to pick a favorite or who was going to be in the finals, I know it's hard, but if you had to guess.
I guess I got to go Novak.
And is there an American in there that could surprise, Jess? We haven't talked about them. Fritz, obviously Tommy Paul, those guys. I know you're kind of laughing because like the French.
Americans on clay. Like, I mean, Sam, you can attest. I don't know. I don't think they have the greatest mentality going.
No, you're absolutely right. But the current wave is a little different. I will say, like, when I was playing, no one was making like semis of Masters Series on the clay. At least Fritz has, semifinal.
What's he calling himself?
Clayler. He's had some results. Ben Shelton won Houston. At least there's like some hints of some clay court success from the Americans.
Yeah.
So would you be surprised if a Taylor Fritz or a Shelton or a TFO or one of those guys makes a quarterfinal or even a semifinal at the French Open?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's going to be hard. I think it depends on the draw and the matchups and the conditions. I think there's a lot of things that are going to have to kind of favor them, because I think if you're playing a really tough clay quarter, 3 out of 5, and the conditions are bad, that's not going to be great for probably many of them. But of course, I always give them a chance. I mean, I think some of them have gone pretty deep at the French before. So I think if they're playing well, and Clayler has been playing well. I mean, I know he didn't do that great last week, but he's been playing well. And then Tommy Paul, I think also he's just a great athlete and loves to grind into battle. So I always give him a chance. Ben with the big serve, Francis, I would always give them a chance. I would just say, it's going to be hard, but that's the French. It's always hard.
Yeah, and the boys are up the top of the draw. There's a possibility that Tommy will play Novak if they get through to their seeds, and Taylor will play Ruud if they get to their seed. So listen, Ruud not playing as well as he probably wants to, Novak not. So listen, if there's a chance for them to do it, maybe this is the year. We'll see. Certainly they've both been playing very, very well on clay comparative to maybe some of their results. And just real quick before we get onto the women's, there's another interesting first round with Andy Murray playing against Stan Wawrinka. So, I mean, these guys can't avoid each other, but it'll be a popcorn match. All right, so I want to get to the women's because you know a lot about those players. Look, there's a possibility that Iga will play Naomi in the second round. They are up that section of the draw. But more importantly, as you've played against Iga so many times, what makes her A, so great, and B, so great on clay? Yeah,
I played her, on clay, on hard, but I mean, she's a clay quarter. I mean, I think that's kind of what she modeled her game after. She modeled it after Rafa, that was her idol, right? So hitting that heavy topspin, her athleticism, I think her ability to kind of turn points from defense to offense, not just defense, but her ability to get in and out of the corners so quickly and then turn the point and take the ball early, I think is something really special. And then on clay, she, it just has more time to do that. And it just caters her game with kind of her heavy topspin. And she plays more like a guy, to be honest. Like, I feel like it's a little bit more like that.
Can you explain in what way?
Just like heavier topspin. She doesn't necessarily hit as flat. And I think that, again, her movement and her athleticism is really good. And then her ability to kind of throw up that heavy topspin ball, kind of, it's heavy and it comes off your racket. It's tough to kind of control it. You get out of position, and then she's just really good as well as taking it early and stepping in. She's not afraid to step in. We know that, especially when she's firing. She's can hit a lot of winners too. So I mean, she's just kind of a really good clay courter. And she's just her movement, I think, really is kind of sets her apart.
Outside of Sabalenka, who we know can beat her, challenger, is right there with her, maybe not quite at her level. Who else in the draw do you think can challenge Iga this week at the French Open? Is there anyone, or is it one of those cases where if she's playing her best, there's no one at her level?
I think Rybakina can definitely, if she's healthy. I don't think ever lost to her, actually. I don't know if they've played much though on clay, but I think a girl like that can definitely beat her. I think Coco is good on clay if she can, play well. And you can catch her on kind of an off day and make her uncomfortable. It's just a little bit harder to make her uncomfortable on clay because she's super comfortable on clay. But I mean, I think Arena and Alina are probably people that can beat her, like the challenge of playing her. It's just on clay, I think she's still kind of the favorite going into this tournament.
And what about, in your opinion, like watching Danielle Collins, what she's done this year? I mean, it's just crazy. She announces that she's quitting at the end of the year. It's over. She's done. She's going back to St. Pete, living on the beach. And then she's having literally the other than making the finals of the Australian Open, the best year of her career. I mean, just give me your thoughts on the fact that she and Vondrousova are in sort of like, that quadrant of the draw. I mean, just on Danielle a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a big Danielle Collins fan. I think she's great. I think she's entertaining. I think she's such a great personality, especially as a woman, she's not afraid to kind of get in your face. And, I think that sometimes people might get offended by that, maybe being a female. But she's not afraid to back down from that. And that's her personality. And I feel like that she kind of overtakes when she steps on the court. She's like, no, this is like, I'm a different person now, like competing, and I really want to win. And honestly, I feel like she kind of taught me a lot. Like, I remember playing with her, like world team tennis at the beginning. And she's like, sometimes you got to throw a little extra drama in there and like, a little extra grunt. And I was just kind of laughing because she's just not afraid to like completely be herself on court and give it her all and put it all out there. And obviously a great competitor. So it's been really nice now that she's been pretty healthy to kind of see the level that she can play at. Because I think we saw that, when she made finals of Australia and when she was already a top player. It's been just nice to kind of see her come back to that, and maybe announcing her retirement has helped to kind of take some of the pressure off and play better. Who knows? But the fact that she's been able to back up, these results week to week to week to week, it's crazy. So she's someone that's, super dangerous and also pretty good on clay. Maybe not known as a clay courter, but she's won several tournaments on clay, and I think can do really well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, she won Miami and then backed it up and won Charleston on green clay, which is not quite the same as red clay, but certainly we know that she slides, she can play well on that court, and being able to move on a clay court is really half the problem for a lot of Americans because they don't grow up on a clay. Let's stick with the women's a little bit. Obviously, Maddie Keys, look, had a tough start to the year with an injury, but has come back quite well, hitting the ball really well. She's done well at the French Open and making the semis before. So out of the Americans, Coco, Danielle, Maddie, who do you see going the deepest? Because all of them, quite frankly, are really good enough to make the semis or finals of the French Open.
I mean, I honestly, that's such a toss-up to me. They're all playing really well. They can all play really well on clay. I think Maddie is always dangerous when she's starting to find her form, which it seems like she has the last couple of weeks. She's beat some good players, some good clay court players. has a lot of matches under her belt, and is healthy. I think Danielle is the same. I mean, it's hard to beat someone when she's riding that much confidence. And then Coco has just been competing and proving that she, at a slam especially, is really tough to beat. And I know that she loves playing in Paris. I think it's her favorite tournament. Winning juniors there, making the finals, semis, losing to Iga. I mean, she's gonna go deep there, I think, no matter what. So again, I think it just kind of depends on the draws and matchups. I think matchups are huge, especially on clay. So I honestly, I have no idea. I feel like that is a total toss up. Are they in the same section or what?
Yeah, Danielle is up the top. Coco is, I believe, down the bottom half of the draw. So look, there. I mean, I think Coco's up the top. I tried to print out the draw, and it's hard for me to see that because it's
Danielle is in her quadrant. That could be, I believe, around a 16 matchup.
Yep.
Oh wow, early, crazy. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that'll be one to watch because I mean, like you said, it's hard to beat someone with that much confidence. But then Coco, I think, is really confident on clay, so that'll be a really, really good match. I think. I have no idea.
Can I ask you just on Coco? You know her so well, just from playing dubs with her, being on the court with her. What is it about her that impresses you the most? Just about her personality when she's in the toughest of moments. Give us a little bit of insight into what she thinks about under pressure, and also what do you think she needs to do just to look? She won she's fine. She's won a Grand Slam already at the US Open. But what do you think she needs to now tweak in her game that you feel like stops her from winning some of these bigger matches now?
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously, her serve can kind of leave her sometimes. I know that's always something, but she has a really good serve when she's serving well. So it's kind of tough to say that because, then she'll hit a 120 bomb and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. But I think that's something, obviously she needs to serve well. I mean, like anybody, that always makes everything else kind of fall together with your game. But no, I mean, she's just been competing really well. And I think she just has so much self-belief. And of course she's an incredible athlete. So I think her athleticism, I mean, she just kind of wills her way. And I think she's just been, the last year, I feel like I've noticed she's just been playing better when she knows she's not playing well. And she's like, you know what, I'm just going to do what I know I do really well, instead of maybe trying to be overly aggressive. Like, she doesn't necessarily have to play like that. And I think she's kind of, I mean, and I don't know for sure, she's never said this to me, but I feel like she's just kind of playing her game and kind of finding what her game actually is. And when she's having a good day, it's like, okay, she might play super aggressive and be hitting all these winners and stuff like that. But she's definitely adjusting. It seems like better when she's not playing great and she's just finding ways to win the big points and the big moments. And that's really kind of all it comes down to, especially, you only play good X amount of matches a year, or maybe a handful, if that. So all those other matches, she's figuring it out. And I mean, she's pretty smart on court. Like, she problem solves really well. She picks up on patterns, I feel like, pretty fast. And again, her self-belief, I think, is just really high. And that's the biggest thing out there.
Now, it's obviously a huge bummer for yourself and everyone that you can't play the French Open. But fast forward 2 months, we've got the Olympics. It's right back in Paris. How excited are you for that? And do you have a favorite Olympic memory from over the years?
I've only played one, and it was Tokyo, and it was COVID, and it kind of sucked. But it was really, we actually stayed at the hotel with the women's soccer team and the men's basketball team. So that was pretty cool to be able to see them around. We saw them quite a bit because it was COVID. So we were really like the only people in the hotel. So that was really cool. And being able to bond kind of with all the rest of the players was fun. We were all really excited to be there. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of get a real Olympic experience under my belt. Obviously with singles, doubles, and maybe mixed, I feel like, being able to play possibly all three is a lot different than just playing one, where you feel like, oh, I only have one chance, to get a medal. I mean, now it could be all three, which is kind of crazy. So I'm looking forward to that aspect and just kind of, yeah, I mean, I think embracing that experience and hopefully being able to see some other athletes, some different events, that's the stuff I didn't get to quite do in Tokyo. So I feel like it'll be more of like a first time experience for me.
All right. So yes, we're going to do serve and volley with Jess. We're going to do the Q&As. And that question was the first one. What is your favorite memory? I mean, that just see it in your mind in Tokyo.
My favorite memory from Tokyo. Oh my gosh. I would say I think we sang happy birthday. Getting called as we
Wait, say that again, Jess. So say that again. What's your favorite? That's okay because your mic went out there a little. What is your favorite memory from Tokyo Olympic Games?
Yeah, I think maybe singing happy birthday to Kevin Durant in the tunnel as we walked out for the ceremony. That was pretty cool. We were walking right behind them. So like he was right in front of us and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. We're singing happy birthday to KD. So yeah, that was pretty sick. And I feel like that'll kind of stick in my head as a really cool memory.
That is hilarious. It's funny how the things outside of playing matches or this sort of stuff are the things that you remember. My greatest memory at the Olympics as well. I mean, I've played in 4, so I had different ones, but the one in Sydney that I will remember was walking out onto the stadium, very similar to that, Jess, where we were all singing the national anthem, and as we were walking out onto the actual stadium, and it was so loud in the tunnel, and then we got out onto the the track, and it sounded quiet because we were so loud in the tunnel. Yeah. And so, yeah, that is a memory that's definitely seared into my brain as well. What about you, Sam? What's your favorite Olympic memory?
Favorite Olympic memory? I've only played one. It was Beijing 2008. And I remember walking out onto the opening ceremonies, and it was the tennis guys and a lot of the NBA guys. And Robbie Ginepri he was walking right next to LeBron James. And LeBron James kind of scuffed Robbie Ginepri's shoe. And we were all wearing like these beautiful, like white brand new shoes. And then LeBron got down on the ground and kind of like licked his fingers and then like smudged the, got the smudge mark out of Robbie Ginepri's shoe. Like, I'm so sorry, bro. And like rubbed it out. We're all just watching LeBron James like clean Robbie's shoe. And it was just like, we still talk about it to this day. It was incredible.
That's amazing.
Did no one get that on film?
I don't think this was 2008. I don't even know if the iPhone was around yet. There was a couple guys with like the camcorders. I remember Chris Bosh had that big camcorder that he was walking around with like that.
Oh my God, yeah. That's funny.
It was just the word of mouth story that's like gotten a little better each time.
That is hilarious. I remember Sam Stowes and I think it was in Beijing, we emptied out our entire tennis bags trying to find a camera because, again, as you said, it was like, you didn't really have your phone, to take a photo in the Olympic Village with Michael Phelps. I've never seen Sam so aggressive with getting a photo in my life. So yeah, some great memories. Jess, would you rather win a Grand Slam title or an Olympic medal?
Ooh, I think probably a Grand Slam. I would love, obviously, to win a medal too, but I feel like in tennis, I don't know, just the format and the way it is, the Grand Slam kind of would take precedent, I think, over a medal. I wish tennis in the Olympics was more of like a team kind of vibe. Because sometimes when you go there, and not that, again, I'm not trying to knock it, but it feels like it's like a tournament. Yeah. Like, so I remember in Tokyo, I lost first round to Belinda and she won the gold. And I was just like, okay, it was just another week. I lost first round and I went home. Like, I played doubles and actually Bethany and I did okay. But like, yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, like next. And there's so many other sports going on. So I feel like it's just when people are trying to win those medals in those sports where it means like everything, like swimming, gymnastics, and all this stuff, I think you kind of you look at those sports as being more special in the Olympics. But I think for me, probably slam.
Who going this year, like you said, there's singles, there's doubles and mixed doubles. Do you have any partners you're like, I want to play doubles with them, or I want to play mixed doubles with them? Or are you just fine with like anyone and I'm happy to be in the tournament?
I mean, anyone, I'm happy to be in the tournament because I know the draw is really small and it's whoever we can get in with and has the best chance. But I played a lot with Austin. So I would love to, we've put in a lot of time together. So I would love to just play with him. And I know he plays well there. He won, the French Open. So
Austin Krajicek won the French Open doubles last year.
Yeah. So that would be fun. And like we get along really well. So I think that would be a nice experience. I've also heard this rumor that, I don't know if this is true or not, but like you can play with each other and then switch partners. Oh. And then everyone that's competed and you end up medaling, you all get a medal. So like, I could play with, obviously you have to win. If I played with Austin and I won, and then the next round, let's say I'm still in singles and doubles and Coco wants to play, she could go play with Austin, or I think someone else like Raj or someone, and you could like switch, which is crazy.
That is interesting.
We're going to have to get to the bottom of that rumor. That sounds awesome.
What it sounds like to me is a little bit like the FEMA challenges. And when you guys see it, you're going to know what I'm talking about. There's a little bit of switcheroo of the partners. So, that's all I'm going to say. But I kind of like that idea. I do like your idea, Jess, about the Olympics in tennis maybe being more of a team thing and actually make United States wins the gold medal based on what happens in singles, doubles, and mixed.
You going in and out, Sam, or is it just me?
Oh, am I going in and out now?
I can hear Rennae perfectly.
What did she say? Sorry, couldn't hear her.
She was saying, would you be a fan of in the Olympics having the tennis be more of a team competition? I mean, there's only, 4 or 5 women, 4 or 5 men, anyone that are playing it. Would you prefer it to be team competition and everyone gets a medal over an individual?
Yeah, I think if it's the Olympics, I think it should be a team. I mean, that was kind of my point. It's like, for us, it just feels like another kind of event. And maybe they keep it the same and they add more of a team component to it, or they have a separate, I don't know how they would do it. But to me, for tennis, I think it should be more of a team event. I mean, everything we do is individual. So I would love to have kind of a different vibe going into that week. I think it'd be a lot more fun.
Totally agree. I mean, I remember when I played the Olympics in 2008, I lost first round in singles to Igor Andreev. And then about 2 hours later, lost him in doubles, and I was done. But meanwhile, you had James Blake medal, you had the Bryan brothers medal, and like you wanted to like kind of be a part of that with them, but it was just an individual event. You were done and kind of on the sideline.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to kind of feel like it was more of a team kind of atmosphere, something different, especially because it's like that when we play Davis Cup and we play Billie Jean King Cup. It's definitely, that feels more like a team. You're playing individually, but someone can sub in for you. You could get hurt and someone else could play and you still have a chance to actually win the match. So to me, I'm like, okay, well, why doesn't it feel more like that for the Olympics when, that's what we play to qualify for the Olympics too. So I mean, I love team events. That's always, it's always really fun. So I think, hopefully one day.
All right, Jess. All right, Jess. Well, we thank you so much for your time this morning. We know that, getting your body back into shape, you're getting ready to get back on the tour. I know how much you're looking forward to getting back to Wimbledon and, proving to us all why you've been inside the top 10 for so many years. We're really proud of what you've been able to achieve over the last bunch of years. And you're a credit to American tennis, and we can't wait to see you not only through the rest of the season, but of course back in Paris. So you get a chance to get back to Roland Garros for the Olympics, and we can't wait to see you competing there. And we just thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This was fun.
Okay, guys, so the Olympics, we cannot wait for it. Of course, it begins July 26th on the networks of NBC. So, Sam, it is time. It is Dropshot. We sent out a tweet or an X or whatever you want to call it, a question in our last show. Should Rafael Nadal play doubles with Novak Djokovic at the Laver Cup to recreate his last match with Roger Federer? Clearly without the tears, maybe, but let's get into some of the responses. Why don't you go ahead, Sam, and read some of these?
We've got Kimberly here. Rafa should not play dubs with Novak at Laver Cup. There's no need to copy Roger's last tennis match. I actually felt the same way. Again, on the bottom, we have Karen. It's a no for me. What made Roger's last match with Rafa was so special. Their affection for each other. Don't think it could be recreated. I actually feel the same as both those responses. I want Rafa's last hurrah to be here at the French Open coming up. I think Roger's moment was at the Laver Cup. So I am in agreement with Kimberly and Karen. How do you feel about this?
I like Karen suggesting if he's going to do it with Carlitos. So I like that as well. And Steve, yes, lefty and righty would be a good team. LOL, of course, referring to Roger and Nadal. P.S. Who would play with Djokovic during his last match and season? Okay, so I agree. I don't think he should play with Novak. I don't think they have the friendship that clearly that Novak, that Roger and Rafa had. So I think Rafa would probably be best served not only to finish, I think, at the Paris Olympics, if he can make that, and clearly in Roland Garros, because By the looks of the draw, he's not going to last very long, Sam,
Right.
at the French Open. So maybe his best way to have the last hurrah in Roland Garros is actually to have it at the Olympics. So I'd like that to be his last match. And if he is going to play Laver Cup, I'd like to see him maybe play with someone like Carlos, who's looked up to him and all. But who would you suggest a Novak play with in his last match?
Novak's the tough one, especially if Roger's gone and Rafa's gone. It's like
Andy.
Who else is there? You could have Andy. You could have Wawrinka. When it's all said and done, if Novak's the guy with the most Grand Slams, I'd want to just see him go out with a parade in Serbia. It doesn't even have to be a tennis tournament at that point. The two other greats are gone. Let's just give Novak a parade, and that's how he can walk off into the sunset.
Yeah, I was going to maybe suggest Goran, but I don't know how much if they're on the greatest of terms after basically Goran getting fired. So there you go. But yes, let's have the parade down the street in the streets of Serbia. I like that idea, Sam. You're on it. All right, guys. Well, we have a new question we're posting on NBC Sports, a Twitter or X account, and we're going to share it with you, of course, all the responses to it in our next show. But here it is. Serena Williams, she posted this yesterday and said, I'm ready to hit some balls again. And you can imagine, Sam, I got a few text messages saying, get in contact with her. But if Serena were to come back on tour, where would she be ranked? Here's the question for everyone out there. Where would she be ranked on the WTA tour rankings if she came back today? So thanks for joining us, everyone, today on The French Connection, brought to you by NBC Sports and Racket. We cannot wait for you to view it and, of course, catch us. We're going to drop another episode Tuesday, May 28th, after the first round of the French Open. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get to bed early, Sam. I don't know about you, but we've got a lot of tennis to watch over the next few weeks, and I can't wait for it.
I'm getting to bed real early. West Coast guy. I got coverage starting, I believe, at 2 a.m. my time, starting this week, on Sunday. So I'm going to bed soon.
Sam, you can record it if you really, really want, and then wake up a little bit earlier than all of us. But you just can't look at the phone to see any results. But anyway, all right, guys, we're so looking forward to you joining us on our next episode, and thanks for joining us today. And thanks, of course, to Jessica Pegula.